The Turks and Caicos Islands. Idyllic, serene, quietly bursting with beauty. Unless, of course, you're planning to make a TV show, in which case Mother Nature will rustle up 2 back-to-back Category 4 hurricanes the week before you touch down. Walking through the devastation, it would be easy to assume that the party had been blown away like so many rooftops and palm trees. But take it from me, never underestimate the strength of the island's spirit. Besides, Aaron has arrived. We're gonna blow off some steam in a big way.
Listen, the drunker you get, the better looking I become.
My name is Aaron Falls. I'm a diver, a divulger, an indulger, and I'm going into the drink.
It's always an adventure.
This wasn't the first time I'd been to the ensemble of awesomeness known collectively as the Turks and Caicos Islands. A little over 500 miles southeast of Miami and a stone's throw north of the Dominican Republic and Haiti, the Turks are the collective gem of the region. They shine like the oversized diamond on a trophy way. I always figured the powder-soft white sand was just the exaggerated praise of turistas, still drunk on the memory of a place they never wanted to leave. Then I ran my fingers through it. Were the islands blanketed in the same relaxed seclusion when 18th century pirates came here to hide out from British authorities? And the diving? No way it could match the tall stories I heard back home. But the Turks and Caicos Islands gently and firmly silenced the jaded skeptic in me, even though they had nothing to prove. I knew I had to come back and show you. But the story I came to tell has changed. Paradise has been the victim of a gale force home invasion. There's no way around the fact that these islands suffered a punishing 1-2 punch. A hit so hard, in fact, that no one alive here could remember a predecessor. But rather than roll over and take it, the islands have come together to build a new Turks, a place even better than the one in my memory. I've never needed a reason to come back to the Turks, but suddenly getting there as soon as possible became critical. There was a man on the ground in Providenciales who was sitting on the maritime equivalent of a treasure map. That man is Alan Jardine, a salty Scotsman who knows these waters better than almost anyone.
I'll trade you some chicken fingers, which is not something I do very often, for a burger.
I began to hear rumors back in the States that Alan knew of a remote stretch of virgin reef, unseen and unexplored by anyone. That such a thing even exists in the 21st century Caribbean is unheard of. And in the waters off the Turks and Caicos, that could be a gold mine. The Boston thug in me was ready to beat it out of him. But like everyone else on Providenciales, Alan was a gracious and generous host.
I think a large part of the reason that Turks and Caicos is still, let's call it undiscovered, is because we came online, if you like, probably just after the boom period when dive travel started. And we just happened after, the whole marketing boom took place. I think as a destination we're still relatively unknown. We're still relatively low volume dive destination. It's easy to get here, but we're still fairly unknown compared to some of the Bonaire, the Cayman, the Cozumel. There's a big area between Grace Bay and Northwest Point, which is unexplored, no moorings, that type of thing. And one time I asked Art Pickering, how come there's no moorings there? And Art said, we never needed them. Because back when he got here, 5-6 dive sites was all you needed. But there's miles, 4, 5, 6 miles between Grace Bay and Northwest Point with no moorings. What's it like? We'd have to go explore and see. And I love those kinds of dives, that you were the first people to go down there and take a look. You never know. What did we find? What might we find?
ScubaPro.com. Deep down, you want the best. Go to backscatter.com for all your underwater photo and video needs.
The section of the ocean that held the reef system Alan was talking about was expansive. I didn't expect it to be a place you could just motor out to for the afternoon. If that was the case, it wouldn't be so virgin. It'd be Las Vegas. This called for a much bigger boat and an extended stay at sea. The one I needed was on the other side of the island, tucked into a quiet marina.
It is 10:26. Does your mother know you're not diving yet? Up you pop.
Our vessel of choice is what's known as a liveaboard. Liveaboards are essentially floating asylums for scuba nuts. And believe me, these nuts come in all shapes, sizes, and colors. I'd be more concerned if I wasn't pretty much one of them myself. Out here, it's just a repeating cycle of diving, eating, sleeping, and more diving. But it's that healthy level of addiction to the sport that made them all easy to convince that an exploratory trip to no man's land was a great idea. So while everyone else on the crew is taking care of trivial stuff like food and water, I'm handling the necessities. Providenciales was proving too tough to be crippled by some candy-ass force of nature. At least it wasn't enough to stop them from making beer. And it's purely out of concern for the crew's well-being that I get a private tour of the island's own Turks Brewery. Brewed and bottled right here on Provo, Turks is born from a unique and highly guarded mixture of ingredients.
Here's the thing I think is fascinating. You're brewing this on an island where there's no source of fresh water naturally. You start with seawater.
Seawater, desalinated.
Okay.
Take out all the salt, and then I will not tell you what I put in because that's the secret.
No secrets told.
You don't trust me?
Anyways, so this is cold water and this is hot. It's not beer yet. I don't know what you want to call it.
Free beer.
Free beer.
Free beer.
There is a word.
When you use the desalinated water, you're leaving some small particles. And that is what gives it the character, apart from the formula, that you won't find in any other beer.
Oh, and by the way, they can this stuff 2 at a time. So take another look at this stack and let that sink in.
Designed by its very nature from its inception to be two-fisted.
And the hits just keep on coming. Turks Head's now doing rum.
Okay. Daddy's got you. That's right. You're going to a good home. Okay, we're all set for the next 15 minutes.
Being a man of science, I needed a small sample for more research. You know, back at the lab.
I love my job. I love my job.
I was already a few pints deep when I hit Danny Boy's, i.e. the lab. It seemed like a good way to spend my last few hours on dry land. If the island was still mourning its material losses, it was news to these people. All anyone wants to do is have a good time.
Guys, come down to visit. We're waiting, we're ready, and it's time to have a lot of fun.
Who am I to argue? So I settled in for a long night of good diplomacy. Of course, my method of foreign relations tends to be a little unorthodox.
I'm the blackest guy here.
Why? Listen, the drunker you get, the better looking I become. So it's official. I'm boldly going where no dude in a wetsuit has gone before. Keeping a boat this large running smoothly during a normal week requires a good crew. When you're headed to parts unknown, you need a great one. We lucked out. Top-notch professionals with a sense of humor that I can appreciate.
Give me now. Look, the camera. Give me the camera. Give me the camera.
What happens if you pull these when they're on the fly? There you go.
Apparently Canada has some kind of employee exchange program with the entire Caribbean.
What? Hey?
Seriously, the next time you're down here, anywhere, round up the staff and do a head count of who has nationalized health care and thinks Wayne Gretzky is the Messiah. It'll surprise you.
Yeah, I was going pro football in mid school, and I got injured and ski bum, surf bum, but I ended up owning a nightclub. All the good life. And one day I read a magazine that was talking about the Merchant Marine School or the Maritime Academy in Quebec, and I decided that's what I wanted to do because I've been around the sea all my life. So far, so good.
So, best thing about working on a liveaboard dive boat?
Knowing what's for supper every night.
This roast beef was so good. I would marry this roast beef without a prenup.
It's bloody beef night.
I've really enjoyed being out here, learning the boat, learning people, seeing new people every week, having the opportunity to work with nice, relaxed guys like Jack that don't put any pressure on each other and support each other, and boy, do we have a blast. 17 years in the Air Force, fixing jet aircraft. 13 years working in a steel plant as a maintenance manager and process engineer. I started looking at diving as an excuse to get away, something that I love, but it was still an excuse that I could go diving, and it was one place they couldn't reach me with a cell phone.
Seeing somebody get something and learn something and then being able to use it themselves without having to be told and doing things, it's just the teaching part of it is probably what I used to do and still carries through.
What's the worst thing about working on a boat? Other than TV hosts. See? You got to think of a new one, don't you?
Yeah, really.
Right.
Welcome aboard Aggressor Fleet, the ultimate in live-aboard scuba diving.
For more information about dive training, go to PADI.com.
The experience of being on a reef no other human has ever seen sounds really cool in theory, but once you're floating just above it and it's all right there in front of you, it actually redefines cool. Massive schools of fish, a sheer wall blanketed with beautiful living architecture. It was everything I hoped it would be. There were certainly signs that something violent had blown through here recently. Furniture had been knocked over, and the fog of that soft, powdery sand cut visibility in places. But to me, it was a small price to pay. We had broken new ground.
And that's what creates your walls. You just have right at the beginning. I don't know how they slope down or how they do it because we haven't been down there. But on this.
Jack and I teamed up for a lot of these dives. I like Jack because he's not only an excellent diver, he's got this uncanny ability to make the reef bend to his will.
Yeah, sure. Here it's the grouper. It's an amazing thing. I think they like the lens of the cameras because they do come up really close and they'll have a look and they're not really shy. And you can kind of coax them in to come and have a look at you, and you look at them, and they'll you can give them a little scratch under the chin, and they'll sometimes lay down on the sand and just, I think they're not camera shy at all, and they just like hanging around people. They're not scared. You get everyone.
As pristine as these reefs were, I almost felt guilty, like I was party to some kind of insider trading. But what I was doing wasn't Ivy League economics. It was just a simple case of nothing ventured, nothing gained.
Good dive, man.
That was awesome. You used to get the schooling fish, and the reef sharks will come in very, very close. It's almost like they're surprised that we're here. Everything's being very hospitable, let's put it that way. So, that is why you come to the Turks and Caicos, kids.
Closed captioning provided by Gun Barrel Gold. The world's largest community for divers on the internet, scubaboard.com.
Back on land, Provo is busy with the hustle and flow of everyday life, and the crew is jonesing for a very specific kind of seafood. The Turks might not be sitting on vast oil reserves or gold deposits, but they possess a resource some argue is far more precious: conch. There's also a reason that this is one of the last places in the world where these animals aren't endangered. From table fare to artwork, nothing goes to waste. As popular as the traditional dishes are, the men of Turks and Caicos are especially fond of a particular piece of conch anatomy.
That little guy right there? Mine's bigger than yours, buddy.
Forget your prescription enhancers, gentlemen. The secret here is holistic and apparently aquatic.
We call that the island Viagra.
Of course, if I had known this was going to involve eating shellfish genitalia, I probably would have rethought this.
You know I don't eat fish.
Yeah,
so you're starting me right with penis.
Yeah.
I'm going from not eating fish to eating penis. Tastes like chicken.
I was feeling pretty lucky on the way back to Provo, and I was running out of ways to milk it. Then the call came in.
Mr. Tossi.
How you doing, Aaron?
How are you, sir?
Good, great to see you. Welcome to the Players Club.
I'm glad to be here. I'm here to win, man.
Well, I think they're waiting for us, so let's go in and take their money.
All right.
That's what you're gonna do.
Gentleman John Tossi has invited all of us out for a night of gambling radness at the Players Club, where my executive producer Randy is pretty much a blackjack genius. I myself am almost a moron when it comes to card playing.
Is this how they've been doing it all night?
Pretty much, yeah.
Oh, that's painful.
That hand hurt my feelings. I wasn't even in it and that hurt my feelings. Oh!
You split them, it's gonna trickle down to us at this table.
It's certainly not trickling down to me.
Stay right there. That's a good one. 17. Excellent.
Yeah! Ah, nice. Okay, so here's the deal, right? I'm down to one chip. This guy right here.
I was about ready to bail on the casino when I saw Betty. Oh, Betty. 30 minutes with her on the craps table and I had tripled my money.
Back it up.
Back it up, baby.
Just backing it up.
6!
I don't know how she did it, but I do know that the next time I'm at a casino, I'm gonna find the hottest, drunkest woman I can and do whatever she tells me to do with my chips. Betty was very, very proud of me. There's something very addictive about the lure of the unknown. And after a week spent opening new doors of possibility in the waters off the Turks and Caicos, I started to wonder what was beyond the boundaries we had pushed. It may look like I know exactly what I'm doing, but I can never be certain of what the ocean will choose to reveal to me. Or, more importantly, who I'll meet along the way.
What's the hardest part about being Canadian?
But that's a good thing. A great thing. There were lessons to be learned.
I think you should have shaved before this interview.
You think so?
And close calls I hope I never have again.
No, he needs to stay and finish his deco. I'd rather lose the dinghy than lose Aaron, so leave him down there.
I wonder how it all turns out. I guess you'll just have to wait and see.
Aaron, take it like a man. Shut up and take it like a man.
All right. Can I have some more coleslaw in the meantime?
Maybe.
Travel provided by Continental Airlines. Work hard, fly right.
Being a Canadian it's kind of a lucky thing because, I mean, in all the travels that I've done, I've never had anybody say, oh, those bloody Canadians. You know? You know, it's never, they don't really blame us for anything. They don't really hold anything against us, you know.
You know, I'm going to take this opportunity to give this back to you.
And now ride on my winning.
I'm jumping from Robbie and Peter to play ball.